Welcome back, everyone. May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, a chance for victims and advocates to share information about the illness.
Tracy Holwagner and Krista Mellum are here to talk about their experience with the illness, as well as the support group they've created here in our community. To both of you, thank you so much for being here. We were talking off camera that you both have now been diagnosed with Lyme disease. We'll start with you if you wanted to share your experience about how you started to get symptoms, but it took a long time for the actual diagnosis.
Yeah, it did. It was about 4 years till I found out that I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. Started with just flu-like symptoms, and it just progressed and got worse and worse and worse. I was actually a teacher at the time, and I had to quit my job because I was falling asleep at my desk between class periods. Had to carry a notebook with me to write down where I was going, what I was doing. There'd be days where I'd be driving and I'd just get lost because I couldn't remember things. And it progressed to joint swelling, I mean, just full body, all different types of symptoms. Did the normal thing, went to the doctor, you know, saw specialists, and everything came back as I was healthy. I was normal. They couldn't figure it out. And I mean, just saw dozens and dozens of doctors, every ologist you can think of, and nobody had an answer. And it ended up, really, I was sent home, and they said that I had an eating disorder. And that was the end of it. They couldn't find it. But thankfully, I have a husband who is dedicated to researching and wanting to find the cause. And we finally found a doctor that ran a test and discovered that it was chronic Lyme.
So this is for either one of you that want to answer this, but I mentioned my uncle also had Lyme disease. I mean, he was a surgeon, his wife was a nurse. They were on the inside of how the whole medical profession works, and he could not get a doctor to diagnose it. So why are doctors so reticent to diagnose people with Lyme, do you think?
Well, they're just not educated in Lyme disease. They just simply don't know. They're not educated. They don't go to school for Lyme disease. They don't treat it. The thing is, the IDSA and the CDC don't recognize chronic Lyme disease, so that's the main reason that they don't know about it. It's not an official diagnosis or disease. It's not a legal disease. Only in the acute phase is it recognized.
What's the difference then between acute and chronic? Just the symptoms are lasting longer?
Well, the acute phase is right after you've gotten bitten and you have the flu-like symptoms, fever, flu, achiness. Then they'll treat you with short-term antibiotics. Chronic Lyme disease is having it for 6 months or more, which most people do because they don't know they've been bitten. So they don't see the rash, and they don't, some people don't even get the symptoms in the acute phase. So therefore it turns into chronic Lyme disease. And it's just not recognized by the CDC and the IDSA. Therefore the doctors don't recognize it.
But by the time it becomes chronic, I mean, it can be tough to turn the symptoms around, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it took 4 years to get a diagnosis, and I've been working for the last 3 years to regain my health.
So it sounds like, you know, you're suffering alone for a long time. We need to take a break, but you guys started a support group, so hopefully you can help others who really have a lot of questions. We're going to talk about that group when we come back.